So you see these? There's two of them. And this is my normal. I go through, currently now, making of this video, I've gone through 2 packs of these a day, of 6 milligram Velo pouches. So I started vaping in about 2023, and you know, I never really smoked or anything like that before. It really all started with, you know, one day I hit my dad's vape, and I felt that nicotine rush. It's like instantly I loved that feeling it gave me, that quick little buzz. And growing up, my dad, he always smoked cigarettes. He would go through a pack a day, constantly smoking cigarettes. And you know, over the years, you know, I dabbled, you know, smoking weed when I was in my teenage years, and every once in a while some friends would have a cigarette and I would smoke it and it'd be like whatever, you know, I'd smoke and drink, and you know, they'd have a cigarette and I'd hit it, but I never got addicted to it. And you know, I was always big into the gym, working out, so I never really tried to get into that. But for some reason, you know, that time I tried my dad's vape and I felt that nicotine buzz, I was like, I love this. And later after that, you know, I didn't immediately start, you know, getting into the vaping hardcore right after that. But then one day one of my friends had a vape and I started hitting on it, and I was hitting on it a good bit. And it wasn't long after that I went and bought my own vape. And it started off with, you know, hitting it here and there, feeling that buzz. So next thing you know, I'm hitting it constantly throughout the day. I'm just, from the time I wake up, I'm hitting it. You know, at work, I'm hitting it. Like, and at my work, they don't care that you vape. So, you know, I can just constantly hit it any chance I get, you know. And it became pretty much, you know, just like that. You know, before I realized it, I'm full-blown addicted to it. It's that addictive. And yeah, so I got to the point where, you know, just constantly smoking it. And then after I realized I had the issue with it, you know, I did try quitting. But, you know, I would try quitting, and then a few days later, I want to hit it again. And be right back on the same path. And I noticed over the years, every time you try to quit, you get even harder and harder every time. I even, at one point, I did end up quitting for a month. One of my coworkers, he was trying to quit at the same time, and he told me about nicotine patches. So I gave them a try, and you know, it actually felt good. I started with the one like whole patch, and then cut it in half after a week, and then kept tapering down the dosage, and I finally was off of it, and I was off for a good month. But I wasn't fully cleared of that addiction yet. And I remember one day I was having, you know, a hard day, and I was upset about something, and then I take that time out. I'm like, I need to go get a vape, because I mean, the nicotine, it causes you to have stress, and when you hit it, it relieves that stress. So you automatically intertwine that feeling of stress and nicotine as your way of getting out of stress. So after that, you know, that was the longest I quit without, you know, no nicotine at all. But, you know, I got right back on it, and I tried multiple times, like, you know, trying to throw it in the trash, saying, this is it, throw it in the trash. And, you know, there's times I would, you know, I'd be at work and I'll throw it in the trash, and 30 minutes to an hour later, I'd go and dig it up out of the trash. And it's like crazy, because, you know, you think about how full-blown hardcore drug addicts would be. It's like the same patterns. It feels like that strong of addiction, even though it doesn't affect your life in that way. It's that much of a hold on you. But yeah, I would, you know, I'll throw it in the trash and then go pick it back up and just hit it right again. Times I would throw it out the window. I remember one time I was driving, I'm like, this is it, I'm throwing it out the window. I threw it out the window when I was driving. And you know, the crazy part is I actually went back and drove and picked it back up where I left it. I know that it is pretty crazy, but yeah, I went and picked up that same vape and got it and hit it. It was still working, so I went and got it and picked it up and started hitting it again. And then yeah, eventually I just gave up on trying to quit. Like, whatever, just go back on it. Like, and when you're in it, you don't care. You're like, it's whatever. You have your moments where you're like, I'm done with this. I'm just trying to quit, because also, like I said, I would be in the gym and I'd be trying to work out, and it affects your breathing. Like, you notice it. Like when you've put years in the gym working out, and you know how it feels to have some good lungs, you notice it when you start vaping. You notice it being way harder to breathe when you're trying to lift. Like even deadlifts and bench press, you'll get out of breath doing that. But yeah, like it's been since 2022. But about like 6 months or so ago, I finally decided I was going to quit the vaping, and I'm going to switch to pouches, so at least I'm not hurting my breathing. And I'm like, I'll handle it later. So I started off with these velo pouches, or I started off with Zens, whatever, nicotine pouches. And I started off with just one, and I would take one here and there, and then before I know it, I'm going through one, and then it wasn't enough. Then I went to 2. I also started with 3 milligrams, did 6 milligrams, and now I'm putting 2 in at a time. And it just keeps upping and upping, where I need more and more. And next thing I know, I'm going through a whole pouch a day, putting in 2 at a time. Put 2 in at a time, and then eventually it gets to the point where I put 2 in at a time, and then right after I'm done with those 2, I'll take it out and I'll immediately put 2 more back in, to the point where it's just I'm constantly staying having the nicotine in my system all day. And yeah, currently now up to this point today, I've gone through two whole packs a day. And that it also, it's an expensive habit. Now I'm spending, I'm buying them by the roll, and I'm just going through them like candy. And yeah, like this video, it isn't like a cry for help. I know I need to quit it, and it's like it's not good for you, but you still do it. That's how strong the addiction is. I remember growing up, like I said, my daddy would go through a pack a day, and he would tell me how hard it is. He would go through the same things. I see him throw it out the window, saying, I'm done with this, and then a day later he's got a whole nother pack. So it's like, it is crazy how strong the addiction is. It really is a powerful addiction. When they say it's as strong as like crack or heroin, I believe it. It really is a strong addiction. And I never understood like how strong it was until I actually did it myself, because I'm thinking, why can't he just quit? Why can't my dad just quit? It can't be that hard. But it takes over your body. Like, it's a stimulant. Like, anytime you try to quit, for me, myself at least, with my job, there's things that can stress you out. And anytime I try to quit, it just seems like everything goes wrong every time you try to quit. Like, you get so mad about the littlest things. It can make you just feel like you have the shortest fuse. Everything can stress you out. The littlest things, anything that happens stresses you out 100-fold more. And that's why it's so hard to quit, because it's like, especially if you got so many things going on in life, which there's always going to be things going on with your life. It's like, I don't want to quit right now because I've got so many things that are stressing me out, and I'm not trying to be stressed out, trying to go through withdrawals right now when I've got all these things going on in life. So it really is a battle. And maybe one day I'll be making a video of when I actually quit. And I do plan on quitting, But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that today I am gonna quit. But one day maybe I'll be making the video. But I'm just gonna let you know, to anybody who's watching, you know, don't ever do nicotine, because once you do it, it really is a really hard thing to quit. It's really hard to get off of, because your body just gets hijacked. Like anytime you try to quit, like you just, when you're trying to quit, it's all you want. Like you feel like you're having it's like having the feeling of like you have the flu, like you're sick. Like, and you know that this one thing will make you feel better. It'll make it feel better. You'll feel like it's the worst thing ever. And you know, sometimes you go through a day of trying to quit, it's not too bad. You're feeling the effects. But then, you know, another day goes by and you're like, I need this. This is the one thing that made me feel better. And you'll do it again, and it'll feel good, real good. That's the hardest part, is the longer when you try to quit, it feels great. It feels great, but then immediately after you do it, you're regretting it. And actually, sometimes you don't regret it. Sometimes, like, you do it and you go right back into the cycle. You totally forget about quitting. You're just right back into the cycle. So if you're watching this and you ever think about, like, all the people trying to talk, you see people doing it online, putting it to give you energy, no, do not do it, because once you do it, it's going to be so hard to break that habit.